Hi, everybody. I've had an absolute blast recording your championship intros on audio and also on video. And for those of you that didn't know, the videos can be done special exactly the way you like them because these are green screens and we can do them with a scene behind me. Do you want a fighting scene? Do you want a beach scene? Do you want a race car scene? Any scene you want, we can give it to you. It's your theme and my pleasure. Just write our offices and we will answer you with the exact fee involved and how it'll get done. So here we are, and now it's time, and it's your choice. Cheers!
From the shores of Malibu where the waves are pumping, to the Great Wall of China, and back to the streets of Las Vegas where the UFC is coming. We are live. This is It's Time Radio, the show where we talk about what you think about, but may be afraid to voice. Don't worry, we will voice it for you. We talk about it all. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, entertainment, movies, TV, politics, you name it, we talk about it. And I'm here with my co-host, TJ DeSantis. TJ?
What's up, Buff? I'm in
What's
the
up?
closet.
Yeah, you're in a closet.
But yeah.
I don't want to make a joke, but you're not coming out of the closet. What's going on over there?
No, we're firmly in the closet today.
Okay, you're firmly
I'm
in the
between houses. The internet box is right here. I want to make sure everything works, so we're sitting here in the closet.
All right, so first-hand touch on, shall we say. I forgot to say also our show is brought to you by It's Time Energy, energy drink of champions, available at itstimeenergy.com. You can order it direct, and it's going in stores all across the country. Very proud of the new product. Big cheers. There's my dish for the day. Also, too, before we start off with anything, I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving, to everybody out there. For your family, your loved ones, and a great day. We'll talk a little Thanksgiving talk later in the show, but let's get to our special guest here. We have on one of the exciting fighters, up-and-comers, definitely up-and-comer in the UFC. Welcome, Chase. How are you, Chase? Chase Hooper!
Good. I mean, yeah, just last week at camp here. Just got done with my last strength and conditioning session. It was legs today, so not feeling great, on the lower body, feeling a little tired, but other than that, pretty good. Pretty putting the final finishing touches on and ready to head out to Vegas next week.
Well, very cool. It's right now, you're fighting in lightweights. That's 155. What are you weighing right now?
This morning I was 176.2.
Wow.
And I'd like to be 175 before we head out to Vegas. So I'm actually pretty on track.
And then 20 pounds, you'll start cranking that down when? On Tuesday?
Yeah, so I think they want me water loading, so I'll be drinking like 2 gallons of water on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then Wednesday night I'll sauna, and then all of Thursday I'm gonna cut. I'm gonna try and make weight Thursday night. Because I'm not gonna sleep well anyways. I'd like to at least not be stressing about like, am I on weight, am I off weight, knowing I have a couple more pounds to go in the morning. So I'm gonna try and make weight Thursday night and then weigh-ins Friday morning. So pretty much Thursday is the cut day.
Very cool. You ever have a problem cutting weight, Chase?
Honestly, I've been pretty lucky. Like usually the points where I start to kind of mentally be like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. Like the past couple cuts, I've been, maybe, zero point 0.2 over or something before the weigh-ins, like an hour before. I'm like, I'm gonna cut my hair off. If I need to cut my hair off, I'll do it. Like,
I think that worked for one of the female fighters recently. I don't know how it's going to work for you, but
yeah. I mean, especially when it gets wet, like it gets a little bit of weight. That's more the issue is when it just doesn't dry. But yeah, I mean, other than that, like it's all mental, and I feel like it's honestly tougher than going into the fight is making the weight. But that's the business we're in, and I always blame the wrestlers. It's all their fault. They're used to weight cutting, and then when you're like, oh, hey, you actually get 24 hours to recover, then they're like, oh, we're gonna max it out. Where I'm a jujitsu guy, like I'd rather go up a weight class than cut weight, but it's a little harder to do in MMA. So here I am, just like everybody else.
you've always got a healthy attitude, and you always got a smile on your face, and you look like you enjoy fighting. When I watch you fight, there's some fighters you can see. I've seen fighters smile all through their fights, enjoy, and I've never seen like fear in your face. I've seen just get in there, get it done, and go for it. And from what I've seen of you, and I just want to commend you, you have a great attitude, and you got a hell of a career ahead of you. But now you got a big fight ahead of you. All right, you're fighting Clay Guida, who fights probably 45 times a year, and now you're going to be able to face him again. One of the toughest opponents, one of the longest fighters in the UFC, and definitely a fan favorite. So you're going to have the cheers going on, not just for you, but for Clay. And I think the crowd that's in the audience at that time, which in Vegas, the one thing about Vegas, unlike other cities or in Europe and stuff, Vegas is notorious for not filling up until probably around the middle of the card.
Yeah,
But you're
for
definitely going to
sure.
have a good crowd there because this is such an exciting card. But you're the second fight of the night coming in. You're in the blue corner coming in. You're fighting a man who's an extremely talented wrestler. He's going to try and take you down. He's going to grind you. He's going to put his face in your chest. You know how Clay fights.
Yeah.
You can't grab his hair, pull his head back, and punch him. As much as it'd be great to be able to do that, as we used to be able to do a long time ago in the UFC, but for obvious reasons can't now. So, how do you feel about your opponent? Do you know your opponent? And I'm sure you respect Clay Guida. I can't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting, like some of these past fights, like fighting guys that I know and like actively respect. Like, I grappled Clay a few years ago, but just like I've been able to talk to him and like I don't know, he's a good dude, and that's the thing about this sport is like it's just business. Like some people feel like they need to go into fights like, oh, I hate this guy, like I'm angry, like I need to be pumped up, I need to
Yeah,
feel this way, that way. Like I feel like I'm good at, being able to just think about it as like, okay, we're competing. Like that's my past couple fights has been like, I'm not going into like a fight. I'm going into a competition. Like it sounds a little less daunting, I guess. And it takes the emotion out of it. Like I'm again, like I like Clay as a person, but it's either him or me, and that's just the way the sport is. Like
that's
that's
it.
kind of been my theory too, is like pretty much everybody in the UFC, I think we could all be buddies. Like we all have the same goals. Like we enjoy doing the same thing, like training and all that. The unfortunate part is that we have to fight each other in order to, make our money and provide for our families. So you kind of have to be able to separate yourself from that. But yeah, I mean, I'm ready for that type of pace. Like I have great cardio. I'm looking forward to the scrambles with Clay. Like he's a wrestler, but I have good jujitsu. He's a little shorter, but he's got a crazy style on the feet. So it's gonna be like a good mashup. I think it's gonna be a great fight, and I can see why the UFC was so keen on booking it. Like when you just kind of look at how it's probably gonna play out.
Yeah, well, you definitely have the height on him. I mean, at 6'1", you've got the reach advantage on him. 75.5-inch reach is a long reach for any fighter at lightweight. And, with 4 knockouts on your record, 7 submissions, obviously the submission, Clay, I don't think has ever been knocked out. TJ, I'm sure
Mm.
you can correct me on that.
I mean, he's durable. You think about
He's
Clay
durable.
Guida, it's
Oh, he's an
in your
ever-ready
face,
battery.
frenetic movement.
Ever-ready battery. Guaranteed to hear a
Yeah.
burp, guaranteed to hear whatever. It's all there.
Well, you bring up that output buff from Clay, and I'm curious, Chase, is not getting maybe roped into a Clay Guida fight. Has that been something that you've thought about in camp? Because I think about everyone knows what Clay Guida is, but sometimes they end up fighting Clay the way Clay wants to fight. And while I think you're both obviously good grapplers, and we've seen improved hands from yourself, if you find yourself getting away from your jujitsu, that could be uh, a frustrating night if you allow Guida to dictate the pace. How much emphasis have you been, putting on in camp and taking the initiative?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's either being like all the way in or all the way out. I really feel like I mean, from where when we were hanging out in New York a couple weeks ago here, the Michael Chandler Charles Oliveira fight, I feel like that's a really good example of a way that I can be, you know, successful in this fight is kind of having that style, like being a little longer with the striking and then initiating the grappling and making it jujitsu instead of wrestling. I think Guida's wrestling will be more on point than Chandler's was that night, but yeah, I'm honestly not too concerned. I feel like a lot of the guys that have had trouble with Clay, especially his last couple fights that I've been watching, which you got to study in camp anyways, is I've seen the guys that are having trouble because they're trying to just get back up. I feel like he's
Yep.
been fighting a lot of just pure strikers that are just trying to get back up to their feet. They're like, I do not want to grapple with this guy at all. And then he picks him up, slams him back down. They get back up. He picks him up, puts him back down, and that's where these guys get worn out. Where I'm not going to fight too hard to stand up. I'm going to fight more to sweep hit some subs and start really implementing the jiu-jitsu. And that's kind of his the last fight against, a major jiu-jitsu guy was the Claudio Puelles fight where he got knee barred a couple years back. And I felt like, honestly, I was really surprised at how much Clay was engaging in the guard and in the jiu-jitsu side of things. But he's a wrestler, so he wants to take guys down, and then it's like, okay, but now what from here? And I felt like he was kind of putting himself in some weird spots. So we'll see what he does next weekend. But I feel really confident, honestly. Yeah, just being either all the way in or all the way out with the striking, and then I feel like my jiu-jitsu will take over for sure, especially with some of the tricks from old Mr. Mikey Musamichi that I learned last week.
Yeah, well, last time when you grappled with him, you submitted him in 2022 with a calf slicer, which is a submission that I don't think I've announced even one time in the octagon.
Well, I can't recall a calf slicer in the modern era in high level MMA.
No, I've never announced it. I've never
Is
announced.
there one,
I
Chase?
actually, with my large knowledge of jiu-jitsu and wrestling, I was asking myself, "What's a calf slicer?" for a second.
We might have had. No, I'm thinking of
Oh,
the
there was
Super
a
match. Yeah,
there actually was one at, I think it was like some flyweights.
okay.
He did it off of like a single leg. He got taken down, and then because I remember watching that entry. That was a few years back though. I think that was still the Reebok era.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was RDA and Tyson Griffin. There was
Mm.
like a attempted one there, or was like I don't know. I've seen it in combat jiu-jitsu. I've seen it in sub only, but like it's just not something that people don't play that game at a high level in MMA.
No, they don't. And you know what? With your height and your length, reach, and everything else, do you plan on coming out and doing a little striking at first? I mean, trade some punches.
Mr. Hands.
Even though Clay, it's so
Yeah, I
hard.
mean-
I don't want to give away your game plan, but I'm sure you have no problem going out there and striking with Clay.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like honestly, kind of like Charles Oliveira did, like just being long. Um, because if I go out there and just start grappling immediately, like that's pretty. That's kind of what they're expecting. So yeah, just kind of mixing it up. I honestly try not to really get too set on any one game plan. Like it's really just one of those things where it's like I know when I'm out there, I'll feel whatever's right in the moment, and 9 times out of 10 we'll make that more or less correct judgment at the time. So it's kind of trusting the instincts. But yeah, no, I definitely plan on striking a little bit. I mean, I don't see why not. I have the height advantage. If there was a guy for me to test more of the striking against, it would definitely be a shorter one, like Clay, with a very not to say it's like a super predictable style, but I guess he just has so much footage out there. Like there's hours of footage to watch on Clay Guida. Like,
Yeah.
and with the amount of time he has in the octagon, like he's not pulling out any crazy new tricks at this point. So, it's a pretty manageable style if I'm able to implement my striking the way I should. Again, with the height and the reach advantage. So we'll find out next week, though.
Well,
Let me ask Buff this. Buff, you're an old kickboxer by trade.
Mhm.
Let's say Clay's trying to avoid the ground game. He's trying to be, the striker a little bit, and maybe Chase isn't having a good, night getting him, to the floor. What would you say? This would be my expertise, which I have none of, so don't take this to heart. You might want to just mute your speakers here, Chase. If Clay's not going for the takedown and Chase can't get a takedown, Bruce, what if Chase is throwing out lazy little kicks to the body, like giving Clay handles? Get the takedown. Here it is.
Clay comes forward, head down, swinging, right?
Yeah,
So with that being the case, I would set up the jab. The jab to me is the most important punch that sets up everything from a takedown to a knockout to you name it. But I would throw multiple jabs followed by crosses. But then once he thinks that's what I'm doing, I would hit him with multiple teep kicks, just front kicks.
I just
Over
think
and
that a
over and over
wrestler.
again. The teep kick, the front, which is a Muay Thai term, but a front kick in standard martial arts or karate was always like a jab to me. And when you're standing there looking, I would
Yeah.
throw front teep kicks at him, followed by back kicks. I would double up on him, and then when he thinks the kick is coming, I would start slamming him with punches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, no matter how much a wrestler changes over time, you leave a leg out there, they're just handles for guys like Clay Guida. And I don't know, man. I think Chase, if he does go after some sort of takedown off of a kick, I think you might be able to get real dynamic, real exciting, and do some crazy stuff in those grappling sequences.
Let me add to what I said. When you throw the teep kick, when he's coming in, he's going to grab it being a wrestler. So it's a defensive move against his punches because you have a length. You're long. So he throws, you counter with the teep, right? That way you're not getting your head into his range and you keep taking him out and throwing him off his striking game.
Seems like you've been spying on our camp this time around, huh?
No, I just had a few goes in my life.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's again, like the Charles Oliveira that's kind of what he kept hitting Chandler with. A lot of those teeps up the middle, straight punches, not really engaging in that distance that he wants, and that's definitely the goal. If that's not working out, then maybe we'll see me shooting or pulling guard. Who knows? We'll do what we got to do.
Isn't it weird though? You mentioned the teep guys. Like, I mean, Chase is probably too young to even remember. Like Pat Smith hitting like one of the first teeps in the UFC. I mean, I was too young to remember that. Pretty much, it was like 1995. But going back to like Anderson Silva, hitting Vitor with the front kick to the face.
Yeah.
Lyoto, Randy Couture, like. Bruce, that teep kick has really changed. Like you said, it used to be just sort of a rangefinder, but if you have it, and a guy like Chase who's super long, like it's not just a rangefinder anymore. It's a curtain closer.
It's a curtain closer, but again, just as important as the jab is in fighting, in our sport of mixed martial arts, the teep kick is like the jab. It's a jab with the leg, right? And it's effective in two ways. You either put power behind it, or the man coming in on you, his power coming in on you is what's going to hurt him. You can just stick it out there, just like you can just put out a jab, and their forward movement is going to affect them. So it's not always with the power; it could just be putting it out there. Same with the kick. So you got to judge which way works.
Hey, so let's be honest here, Chase. It's the day before Thanksgiving. You're in the closing moments of fight camp. Like, how badly are you wanting to get to the other side of this fight so you can indulge in some holiday eating?
Honestly, it's been crazy. Like pretty much my whole, fight career, and even before that, like doing jujitsu, I always had stuff like right after Thanksgiving. I've been just so used to not eating during the Thanksgiving time. But thankfully, haven't had any crazy competitions in January, so I'm able to usually enjoy Christmas and that type of stuff. But yeah, I more just miss the pumpkin pie. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got me thinking. I'm gonna be doing some. We're gonna be baking some stuff later today to bring it over to her parents' house tomorrow.
Oh my
But
God. Is that not torture?
uh, honestly, I feel like I appreciate food a lot more. Like when I'm not able to eat it. So stuff like, okay, I'm gonna take a couple of hours and bake some, rolls. Like that's, kind of cathartic. I think like it's kind of
Wow.
calming and like I enjoy the process, and then maybe I'll snatch off a little piece at the end. But yeah, I feel like when I'm out of camp, I'm just eating and like not thinking about it. Where now like food has a lot more value when I'm not able to eat it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't mind it too much.
Well, you're a better man than me because you'll take 2 hours to make the rolls, and I'll take 20 minutes to go buy them. So, all
Yeah,
good.
fair enough.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that's it. Let's talk about the card a little bit. Just going to go down the card for our listeners. Alejandro Pantoja, Kai Asuka, strong main event. I'm looking
I mean,
forward.
real quick, you got the rising champion coming over to take on the UFC champion in his UFC debut, which is crazy. Like, again, my brain always kind of goes too far back to when the last time something like this happened. But like in the modern era, where an athlete is making their UFC debut in a title fight, it just doesn't happen. I'm sure it probably happened in the Strike Force era coming over to the UFC or the Pride era. But like the last time I remember it, Bruce, I got to go back to like UFC 45. Frank Trigg, Matt Hughes, Trigg fights Hughes in his UFC debut. It just doesn't happen in the modern day.
I know. I'm with you, but it's exciting to know. We're not dealing with maybe a name the common UFC fan knows,
Sure.
but we know that it's an exciting main event. And then you get into the welterweight title bout, which is, Ian Machado Gary is getting his shot against Shavkat. And
That's not an interim title fight, is it? That's just that's like is it?
it's a
No, I
welterweight
think
title
it's
fight. It's not an interim. It's a title fight, welterweight title bout.
Well, I mean, Bilal Muhammad's the champion. They're not stripping him.
On my record, well, that must be interim, but I'm sorry. I'm looking at the card, It doesn't
All
say
right, I'm
interim.
asking Chase Hooper. He's the journalist of the year here in UFC Fight Pass, like 19 years running.
As far as I knew, I didn't think it was, but I mean, things could always change, and that's very sideline for me seeing that type of stuff. But
Well, it was rumored though, so maybe that's
yeah,
why it says that, Bruce. But I don't believe it's for an interim title.
It
But it
might
was
just be that it's an early bout card that I got, and they don't have interim on it. I'll double
yeah,
check
but
it.
it was talked about for sure. So it doesn't surprise me. And here's the thing, guys. Like no disrespect to Bilal Muhammad, I don't care if there is an interim title on this fight because the winner of it is so clearly defined as the number one contender that we might as well just have the token on there. Like I understand that you win an interim belt doesn't necessarily mean you're necessarily going to fight for it. The undisputed next. Ask Colby Covington. Ask Tony Ferguson. With all of that though in mind, guys, like I'm super excited for this co-main. I know it is 5 rounds for sure, as
okay,
it should be. Big test though for Ian Gary. My God,
yeah,
like
It's a
what,
big test. It's a big test, and it's going to be a striking test. So we'll
mm,
see what happens here. Cyril Gahn against Alexander Volkov. It's always going to be exciting. The return of Cyril Gahn after his loss to John Jones. Kron Gracie, who steps in the octagon like once every couple years, coming in to fight Bryce Mitchell, who's a very
dude,
exciting
that's a
fighter.
great fight. Like
it
honestly,
is.
like no offense to all of the other fighters on this card, you included Chase, but
Mhm.
if you said, "Hey, you only get to watch one fight on this entire card," I might go with Thug Nasty versus Kron Gracie because I'm just so curious what their jiu-jitsu and MMA styles look like against
Yeah,
each
it's
other.
going to be very interesting. Starting off the main card is Nate Landwehr and Doo Ho Choi. Always comes to fight. Anthony Smith, another one that fights about 10, 15 times a year, coming back. And I'm kidding when I say that. Fighting Dominic Reyes. Anthony Smith, always an exciting fighter to watch, as is Dominic. And Vincent Luque, the tough welterweight against Themba Garimbo. Aljamain Sterling's here. Randy Brown. Chris Weidman on the undercard after
Yeah,
not fighting in the last card due to the his opponent.
I'm
Um,
happy we're getting this quick,
I'm
guys.
happy
You know,
too. It's good for Chris. I feel bad that he
yeah.
had to, go through Thanksgiving and another weight cut.
Well, it's a bummer it's not an MSG. You know what I mean? I'm sure he was
Mm,
looking
Yeah,
forward
I
to
was
that.
very
that's
disappointed in him,
fair.
but he's fighting Eric, Anders again.
Yeah.
So let's look forward to that. Cody Durden, always exciting. Joshua Van and Michael Chiesa against Max Griffin. That'll be an exciting fight. And of course, we are down to the Chase Hooper Clay Guida fight. And Kennedy and
Hold on. I think okay, we're
I
good.
think we're good. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, all good. It's wonderful Riverside. We're good.
Oh, okay. All right, we're good. Anyway, it's a very exciting card. I hope everybody tunes in. It is the last pay-per-view of the year, not the last fight of the year. We've got Tampa the week after that, which I'll
Mm,
be announcing too. So looking
nice.
forward to that. When I go to Vegas, I'm going early. I've got appearances for Puncher's Chance Bourbon. Um,
When are you going, Buff? When do you get into town?
I'm getting in Thursday. I've got appearances Thursday night and Friday. I know the MMA awards are Thursday, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make them. Are you going to the MMA awards?
I'm going to be doing the Fight Pass Invitational on Thursday.
Oh,
So
very cool. Well,
Nice.
I wouldn't be able to attend that either. Everybody, by the way, it's going to be past Thanksgiving when you see this, but Puncher's Chance for the holidays. Can't beat it. Can only drink it. There you go. That's a good line. Can't beat it. Can only drink it.
yeah, that's good.
I kind of like
Undefeated,
that.
undisputed.
Kind of like that. Are you a drinker, Chase?
No, I've actually never drank anything before. My goal is to like be pretty straight edge and then maybe just do DMT with Joe Rogan or something, just dive right into the deep end, you know?
Very cool. That's a good. That's a
Be a
good. That's a good ambition. I'm not a
good
huge
life
drinker, but
goal.
I enjoy sipping fine bourbon. So if I'm going to do that, I drink my own.
Hey, okay, can you just imagine for a second being straight edge your entire life, and then you just your one big toe in the water is DMT with Joe Rogan?
Hope
That's
we make it through that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
All right, let's go over a couple of news things and little Thanksgiving talk. By the way, Chase, do you like the bare knuckle fighting?
Uh, I kind of think of it as like, maybe like like after guys get out of UFC or
That's
like if
what
you're
I
not
always say.
gonna
Yeah.
make it, yeah. That's what I've heard is like if you're doing bare knuckle, like UFC won't touch you. At least that's what I've been told. So yeah,
I
I don't know. I'd watch it.
I have all respect to the fighters going in there and putting it out, but not interested in breaking my hands. But it's getting bigger and bigger and more successful. And Conor McGregor added his image to it as buying into the promotion as one of the promoters. Speaking of
You just
Conor
hit the nail on the
McGregor,
head, though, Buff.
what's that?
It's not so much the lacerations and cut of the faces that scare me. It's the hands.
Yeah, the
You
breaking
know,
of the hand.
as an athlete, like your hands are your two biggest weapons, regardless of if you're a striker or a jiu-jitsu practitioner. If you're fighting MMA at the highest level, I don't think you can afford to go out there and risk your hands.
No, no, you're almost guaranteed. It's just like in a street fight. You're almost guaranteed. You know, palm strikes, everything, elbows, the
Yeah.
whole bit. It's much better. You punch somebody. It's a 50-50 shot. You're going to lacerate or break your knuckles,
Right.
depending how you throw
So,
it.
real quick, you being a jiu-jitsu guy, Chase, when you started training as a kid, how much strikes were sort of like in the back of your mind when learning jiu-jitsu? Was it anything that you were giving notice, to in self-defense situations?
Not really a ton on the jiu-jitsu. Like we were more definitely on the sport jiu-jitsu side. I did a little bit of kickboxing when I was younger, but that
Okay.
kind of, I did a couple years of it and then it kind of tailed off and then I got back into it, around when I was 14, 16. So I had a little bit of striking stuff, but not really a ton of like the MMA style of striking, like on the ground and in with the strikes. But yeah, if I get in a street fight, punching is definitely not my first
Yeah.
idea.
I mean, Buff, you've talked about it. Use elbows, use forearm shivers, use open hand strikes.
It gets in close. Somebody stays, if they get within the 3 foot distance, I'll get back to the teep kick. Good kick to the balls, good kick to the center section. If you want to
There
talk
you go.
street fighting, it gets in close. There's nothing more devastating than taking somebody out with an elbow because they usually don't expect it. And the palm strikes can keep somebody away. Let's put it this way: I hope nobody ever gets in a street fight, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen enough, had enough experience. People can get seriously
Yeah.
hurt. Just falling to the ground and hitting your head can be
Oh.
devastating.
I have a hard time watching that stuff. Like I can watch MMA all day. I can watch the most brutal, violent things in mixed martial arts all day, unfazed. But when it happens in a street fight, Bruce, you're exactly right. Like when someone gets knocked out and hits the back of their head, it's the most horrific thing I think that
Yeah.
is on the internet and things like that.
I don't look at that entertainment. Even on Twitter, when I scan Twitter and there are all these little street fight videos, I could care less. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Hey, you ever
everybody
been in
stay
a
out there.
street
I hope
fight,
nobody
Chase?
ever gets in a street fight. You want to go and experience toe-to-toe action, get in a gym, put on some gloves, and do it the right way.
I can't imagine Chase has ever been in a street fight.
No, I've actually never been in a street fight. I've never been in a fight that wasn't scheduled, so
Good.
I'm pretty content with that. I honestly like it would take a lot for me to fight somebody. Like if I don't know if somebody's yelling at me, whatever. If they're drunk, I'll be like, okay, sorry, I don't know.
Just walk away,
I don't.
Chase. Walk
Yeah,
away. In the days when I grew up, you could do that and get away with it.
fair,
However it fell, sometimes having a beer with the guy afterwards. But nowadays, it's revenge, it's lawsuits, it's all bullshit. So
fair enough.
yeah, I would avoid it at all costs. Keep your money. People are
Yeah,
looking to get rich quick and egg you on, and sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will only hurt me. Just that's it. That's it. Don't let it bother you. Walk away. Be the better man. You got nothing to prove.
no,
You got
no, that's
nothing to
the
prove.
thing too. Yeah, especially at this level. That's why all the UFC fighters, I feel like, even during the face-offs, like everybody's so respectful because like we don't have to prove that we're tough guys. Like we already made it to UFC. We're gonna
That's it.
fight each other tomorrow. Like there's
That's
like
it.
exception here and there, but for the most part, everybody's pretty mellow.
That's as tough as it gets. I mentioned
Yeah.
Conor McGregor and the thing. I just have to point out, he recently had this assault case issue
Yeah.
that came up, and it was bound to happen. But the Proper 12 has dropped him as the face and ambassador of the brand, and Irish stores are not carrying it anymore. This is one of the things that happens with these things. We'll see how it develops. It's really all I can say. I'm just reporting the news.
Yeah, I mean nothing more to say other
Nothing more
than
to
I,
say.
I, I thought it was interesting how it took a lot of people by surprise that was going on, even just sort of
Hmm.
snuck up on everyone. But
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully justice was served in a way, and we move on and we'll see what happens.
See what happens. See what happens. All right. In sports, Kansas City Chiefs are in the news.
They're
Tershawn,
always in the news. It's the only football team I ever see on TV being talked about.
well, Taylor Swift, who's related to it, she was named the number 2 of the greatest pop stars in the 21st century. She's number 2 on the list.
Who's number one?
Let me see if they come that up. Number one.
Is there like an obvious answer? Because I thought she would pick
Michael
number.
Jackson, maybe like early century. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, What did he? Is it of this century? I mean, I don't know. What did Michael Jackson do post
Past
2000?
100 years, or is it like from 2000? I don't
I
know.
would think it's from 2000, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's all because of what she grosses and how she
Yeah,
sells out.
yeah. I mean,
I,
yeah,
I don't see
she's a
number one.
brand buff. She's not
Pardon?
even like when you're as big and popular as she is. She's not just a performer. Like she's a whole brand into her own.
Huge brand, huge brand, huge brand. And then on Kansas City at the game recently, defensive tackle Deshaun Wharton, a child was leaning over the thing to
Oh, I
say hi to
saw
him.
this.
Yeah, fell over the rail 10 feet. He
Yeah,
caught him.
Huh.
yeah.
Little hero move. So
Seriously.
maybe he should become a receiver. Who knows? Who knows? Last week on the show, I gave the picks for Sunday picks. I love betting on football. I'm a big poker player, Chase. I only play blackjack, poker, and bet on the football during the season. But I was 100% the last 2 weeks with my two top picks. And I'll tell you right now that I would go with Philadelphia again this week. If you're into football, you into football at all, Chase?
I kind of bandwagoned when the Seahawks won the Super Bowl a little bit,
Cool.
but I mean, I can watch it.
Cool.
I don't go out of my way for it though.
Well, the two teams I bet this week is rolling with the favorites as they're on their steamroller, and that's Philadelphia, who's at the Baltimore Ravens, although the Ravens are very tough. If you bet that, it's Philadelphia -3, buy it down to -2.5 so you can win by a field goal. And Detroit is -7.5 points. If you bet that, buy it down to 7 so you tie. In the case of a touchdown, it's not a two-score game. There's my advice for football. The other thing that happened last week was the Formula One. Are you into Formula One at all, Chase?
Not as much as I should be.
That's okay. My brother Michael Buffer, the legendary Let's Get Ready to Rumble announcer, and I, for the first time ever in the 30-plus years, sorry about that,
It's okay. You've never worked together before?
we've worked together in respect to the fact that I have announced undercards in boxing and HBO
Right.
years ago, but we never, except for a corporate event, have been out
Right.
at a major international sporting event where we both side by side announced at the same time.
That was a really cool video clip.
Yeah, it was very cool, and it was a video clip because it wasn't carried on ESPN because the football game had 4 overtimes.
Oh no.
Damn.
Yeah, but that's okay. It was seen on Sky Sports all around the world.
Yeah.
And listen, it's not about going out there and doing that. Like, who saw me? It's I'm out there. I had the experience with my brother. It was great to watch the F1, the parties afterwards, the whole bit, the experience. It's incredible. And F1 has said they would like me to come back again next year because they like that Vegas appeal. So
Hey,
I look
let me
forward to
ask
being
you
free
this,
that
Bob.
weekend and announcing it.
You had a chance to be standing next to those drivers. Are they all relatively short guys? Because I think to fit in that car, you couldn't be a Chase Hooper in a F1 car.
No, and you can't be it's hard to be me and be in the F1 car when I drove one in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, they all seem to be in the area of 5'10" or less.
Okay.
Trim, strong hands like NASCAR drivers. Yeah, I have tremendous respect for race car drivers of any race. It is
Yeah.
endurance. You could die any night you're out there on that track. Tremendous respect. They make big money for what they do, and they deserve it. And more power to them. So it was a really cool experience being there. I got to meet Terry Crews from the Expendables. I have never met
Oh
him.
wow.
What a super down-to-earth, nice man. What a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's the president in my favorite movie, Idiocracy.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's multi-talented.
Yeah.
From America's Got Talent to his dancing to his comedic abilities. Multi-talented individual. A real pleasure. Family man. Very, very cool man. Kudos to him. The Equalizer, Denzel Washington was going to retire after Gladiator 2. He's up for a possible Oscar nomination for Gladiator 2 everybody's talking about. But he just came out, and I'm happy to hear he's going to make 2 more Equalizers because I really love that series.
I feel like we don't often see like the final movie from an actor. Like it's very rarely announced like, "Oh, this is the last movie I'm ever going to do."
There's always a possibility. All right, on a last note, Thanksgiving's coming up. I'm going to go over what people consider to be the biggest Thanksgiving mistakes that people make. By the way, did you hear this news that came out? And this is kind of disgusting.
Uh-oh.
Butterball turkeys, where they
Mhm.
get them from, I think
Yeah.
it was Butterball. It was reported somebody went and spied, and they saw the people that wrangle the turkeys and stuff
Uh-huh.
having relations
No, 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 no,
Yeah,
no, no, no,
it was
no,
a news
no,
story that broke
no.
yesterday.
We're not going to ruin Thanksgiving right
No,
now.
I don't want to go there. But I read that. I'm like, can life get any freakier if this is true? Jeez. Okay.
That's
I'm
bold. I'm
I'm
scared of birds like that, you know?
Oh,
yeah, okay. I'm
all right.
not
We'll
going
leave
to
it
say
at
the
that.
word
Pause.
turkey baster, so let's just get out of here.
Don't, don't even go into turkey basting. Okay. Anyway, sorry I mentioned that. It's Thanksgiving. Let's just stay on the positive. But in the biggest mistakes, wash your hands, folks. You're dealing with people's turkeys. Wash your hands.
Yeah.
They say thaw your turkey anywhere but the fridge. Don't put it in the fridge to thaw your turkey.
Let's stop talking about people's turkeys.
Okay. All right. These are all standards. Washing your turkey. Let the turkey. Forget it. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Make your turkey any way you
Hey, let's
want.
be honest. The number one thing that needs to happen, and I say this as a victim of a mistake, make sure your damn bird is cooked. The button's got to pop.
Yeah.
If it's not popped, you will get food poisoning and you will not be leaving your house, and it will be a dark Friday. It won't be a Black Friday. It will just be a very dark Friday for you because you'll be throwing up and spitting it out the other end, unfortunately. So make sure it's cooked.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. So there we go. We go from being cooked to making sure it's cooked. Got it.
There you go.
All right. Bottom line, happy Thanksgiving. Real quick, Chase, pie or cake?
I'm definitely a pie guy. Pumpkin pies for sure.
Yeah,
Mm.
me, I love pumpkin pie, and I love mince pie, and I love pecan pie, but I keep myself to one piece of pie. So I have to make that decision when we're sitting down. But then the next day, I get another piece of pie.
Oh,
I
fair
love the
enough.
smell of pumpkin pie. I cannot eat it for whatever reason. It just does not taste good to me. Maybe it's the texture. I don't know, but I don't think there's anything better than cherry pie.
Really?
Yeah, cherry
I
pie.
love cherry pie too.
Yeah.
Definitely love cherry pie. For sure.
One of my producers who grew up in America, Frankie, you know Frankie Chase.
Shout out. Shout out,
He's
Frankie.
never had cherry pie in his life. So I am going to buy him a cherry pie next week in Vegas for this
Just buying
FBI.
the little store ones, like the 99-cent ones. That'd be a good
Yeah,
first
I mean,
experience.
listen, how do you not have a slice of cherry pie? I don't understand. This dude's like 40 years old.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not going to try to overeat. I'm going to definitely have a big helping, but I love leftovers, and that's the key point. So I
Yeah.
love leftovers.
Hey, I mean that's all Chase is going to be able to get. I don't know if he wants to
Oh yeah.
eat week old food, but
It might have to be frozen. We'll see.
yeah.
All right, Chase, we're going to wind down. I want to wish. I'll do that when I sign off to wish everybody. But Chase, please, whatever you want to say, anything you want to say on the sign off, go right ahead.
I mean, thanks for having me, and see you guys next week in Vegas.
Simple and sweet. I like it. All right. All right, Chase. And remember, I never institute the fist bump. It's not about the fist bump. You don't have to fist bump me. That's not anything. You stand there, you do your thing. I'm just going to do my thing and get you as excited as I can. And I'll react to whatever
Fair
you
enough.
do.
I'm usually tunnel vision by that point. I'm just like,
Yeah.
all right, let's get it going.
That I know. I remember very well. I've been out you enough to know that. And it's a pleasure and an honor to share the octagon with you and roar your name to the millions of people that will be watching. And I look forward very much to seeing you next week.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chase. TJ?
Yeah, just follow me on X. I just finally stopped saying Twitter. So follow me on X at TJ DeSantis. Fight Pass Invitational is coming up next week, so please tune in. Phenomenal jiu-jitsu event headed your way live from the Apex on Thursday night. And Extra Round's going to be on the ground as well out there in Las Vegas for UFC 310.
Very cool. And for me, I want to wish everybody a wonderful Thanksgiving for you and your loved ones. Enjoy the food, enjoy the football, enjoy the company, and just have a great time, relax, and enjoy this 4-day weekend. And let's give thanks to everything we have in life. I think a lot of people need to focus on the good things, as we all do, and appreciate the fact that we live in this great country and have the freedom we have to enjoy a wonderful, wonderful holiday like Thanksgiving with our family and loved ones. So I wish everybody the best, and I will see you from the Octagon next week, but I'll talk to you before in there. Outside of that, as always, set your goals, write them down when you step on that yellow brick road to your future success. Be the best you can be, whether you're champion number 1, number 2, or number 3. If you're the best you can be, then you're winning, and that's what we're all about on It's Time Radio, is winning. So be a role model to your sphere of influence, and let's enjoy life, folks. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy. Big cheers to everyone. Buffer out. Thanks, Chase. Thanks, TJ.